What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's draft season all year long, and today we have a Patriots mock draft for you guys. So if you are a Patriots fan, consider sharing the video. The more views it gets, the more likely I am to make another Patriots video in the near future. And if you like anything related to the NFL draft, this is definitely going to be the channel for you. So if you guys haven't noticed, if you're returning, we have sort of a new setup. I am using a headset as my microphone because we have a new computer, and this microphone right here that I've been using this whole time doesn't plug into a MacBook, which is the new computer that we're using. So that's kind of unfortunate, but we're going to work with what we got right now, so I'm doing my best. But let's get into this mock draft. Patriots here at 14. Kind of have a general idea of what I want to do. It is a 3-round mock draft, and we do have 4 picks here in the first 3 rounds. So taking a look, you have a couple of tackles going off the board, and that's completely fine because, like, Paris Johnson, that's a tackle that I'm not just a huge fan of. I think there's better guys at this spot. And who am I referring to in particular? Anton Harrison. Now, I know that tackle is a significant need for this football team. Both tackles this year just did not play very well, and both of them should be off of the team after this offseason is done. So that should be interesting right there. Now, we could look to trade back, but the Raiders are the only team offering us. They're pick 38, so that's not really intriguing to us. You don't want to completely trade out of the first round. So there are a lot of good options. Like Brian Branch, I think, is someone that we could seriously take here, but the need at tackle is so significant that even though it might be a reach according to the big board, and you guys know that I don't like drafting for need, especially if you have to reach, this is a dire situation. I mean, we're going to have like no one at the tackle positions. We desperately need someone. And I love Anton Harrison. I think he should be much higher. I think he should go before guys like Paris Johnson and Peter Skoronski. And the reason for that is because Anton Harrison plays with the physicality that you like to see from players on the offensive line. Like when you see an offensive line, a unit as a whole, take control of a game, it's when they play more physically. And I think Anton Harrison is one of the more, if not the most physical offensive lineman here in this year's draft. I really like just his game in general, his aggressiveness, his sturdiness. It's hard to move this dude, so I really like Anton Harrison. I don't mind taking him here at 14. I don't feel like it's a reach, even though the board might say it is, but this feels a huge need for the Patriots, and I think we get a good player at a good spot there. Now, with this second pick, still up in the air on what exactly I want to do. Again, this trade, we don't want to go 40 picks back, so we're definitely not going to trade back. Cornerback right here seems to be like an interesting spot right here, and even edge rusher. But, you know, Josh Uche, really underrated this year. I mean, seriously, like coming out of the draft back in 2020, I believe, when they got him in the 3rd round, he had the most pressures in all of college football, and he didn't have huge sack numbers, but now he's kind of finishing these plays. He's really developing, getting to the quarterback, racking up those sack numbers, and also creating a high pressure number alongside with Matthew Judon. So I don't know if we want to bring in an edge rusher right now, maybe a guy to rotate, maybe to take the reins of Judon after he leaves in X amount of years. So that could be an interesting one that we take a look at right there. Cornerback right here, there are guys like Keely Ringo. I am more interested in Emmanuel Forbes. I just feel like the Patriots like to take that slimmer build at cornerback. Keely Ringo is kind of a more physically built guy, and he really is falling in the draft process right now just because of his recent film just hasn't been all that great, not really consistent. But Emmanuel Forbes, I feel like, is slowly rising gradually, so I do think that Emmanuel Forbes would be an interesting pick right here. Taking a look down the board, I don't want to really reach for anyone else. I think Emmanuel Forbes right here is in a good spot, and like, the Patriots, I don't think, are in dire need of a defensive back, but they could definitely use another one. I think that's a solid pick right there. Emmanuel Forbes, and I believe he has the record for the most pick sixes by a DB, so that's pretty cool. I believe it's like 7 or something like that. It's a crazy high number. Now, we could trade back here. It's like 4 spots, but we also got to see who's on the board. Rashee Rice is an interesting one, but I feel like this team needs like a big-time difference maker, and like, I really like Rashee Rice, but I don't think that you're going to get that out of him. And also, he's that more physically built wide receiver, which the Patriots don't typically take. I mean, you look at their room right now, they also have a slimmer build at that position as well. Like, Devontae Parker is their big body guy. I can't imagine they'd bring in a second guy in Rashee Rice, so I am going to skip on him there. Cedric Tillman, I think, could potentially be more likely. Blake Freeland, even DeJuan Jones, these are 2 guys that I'm really interested at this point in taking right here. These are 2 guys that I think have a ton of potential. DeJuan Jones is a massive human being. And then I also think that Blake Freeland, pretty solid. Not a guy that gets talked about a ton, but I think he can do some good things if he works on his technique a little more. I think he just needs to finish on, like, literally finishing his blocks. He doesn't hold all the way as he should be, but really, I think he could be a solid player if he has the right coaching. Now, Pittsburgh is someone that we could maybe acquire some picks for, but it's 4 spots. I mean, I don't really care. So I am going to take DeJuan Jones here. Now, the great thing about this is that our first pick with Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, he was a left tackle. This is going to shore up our right tackle spot. DeJuan Jones, and I also believe Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. These are the 2 top right tackle prospects in this year's draft. So I am going to go ahead here and take DeJuan Jones. So we get both our left and our right tackle. Ideally, you don't want to start the season off with 2 rookie tackles, but, we saw Seattle do it this year with Cross and Lucas. So, it's possible, and there is a way to get good production out of these guys. So I do think that we got 2 solid players. I think DeJuan Jones is much lower on this board than he should be. So that's a player that I'm definitely excited to get on this team. Now, what do we want to go ahead and do here? Very interesting situation here. We could take Hendon Hooker. We could, because, Mac Jones has been all right. He's had his moments, and I know that he hasn't had the greatest offensive coordinators, especially Matt Patricia last year. But I mean, it's possible. Hendon Hooker could take over his place. That could be an interesting story right there. I think we could also bring in a safety. I don't think that'd be crazy. I don't know. A lot of good options still on the board. Taking a look here, there really is an edge spot now. You Patriots fan can educate me. I mean, I'm aware that you guys have 2 solid starters right now. I don't know if it's just a matter of getting a rotation in there as well. I think that could definitely be interesting. But taking a look at the edge rushers right now, there's not a ton of options here that I'd be super excited about. So I think what we are going to do here, I mean, Hendon Hooker would really be interesting here. It could, stir up some conversation, I think. And the thing is when you take him with a late 3rd round pick like this, you're not tying yourself to him. I mentioned this in a previous video that I recorded with a different team, but when you take Hendon Hooker here in the 3rd round, it's not like a 1st or a 2nd round pick where it's okay, this is going to be our future franchise quarterback. Hendon Hooker, I think, is a good project player when he comes back from injury. Of course, his career is going to be a little bit shorter just because he's older right now, 24, 25 years old. But the potential here in the 3rd round and the value, I wouldn't mind taking it right here. So I think Hendon Hooker is going to be our pick here. We could definitely take a guy like Gravon Dexter here to kind of beef up that inside, but I feel like we have a decent rotation of players in there already. I just don't think Bill is going to draft an interior defensive lineman for some odd reason. I don't know. It's really difficult to predict the way that he's going to draft, so I could be completely off on that. I think Brandon Joseph is also someone I'd consider, but like I said, the upside on Hendon Hooker, I mean, you're going to see me take him in a lot of drafts just because of the value and the potential that he possesses, and it could stir up some controversy here with Mac Jones. Mac Jones' job will be safe for the most part, but if Hendon Hooker really shows that he should be the guy, I don't think they would hesitate to pull the trigger and do that. Now, is Hendon Hooker Bill Belichick's type of quarterback? Not necessarily, but we saw him go out for a Cam Newton, which was different from what they've typically done, which is they usually stick to that pocket passer, which is the Brady, the Garoppolo, and even now Mac Jones. But we have seen that they're open-minded to getting an athletic quarterback who kind of scrambles around, uses the run game as a key component to their play. So it's possible. It's possible. But I really like the way this draft went. We replaced our 2 mediocre tackles in Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn with Anton Harrison and DeJuan Jones. The future is bright. We have 2 really big tackles, one that plays really physically, and I think one guy who you want to see develop over the years, but I think he does possess enough good qualities to start immediately day 1, considering what this roster is going to look like at tackle. Emmanuel Forbes, I know that they might not necessarily go with cornerback this early in the draft, but I do think that this is a good value here. With Forbes here at number 46, he could potentially go higher. And then again, Hendon Hooker, great value considering the talent that he possesses and where you're getting him here at round 3, pick 97, considering Mac Jones hasn't been all that great or consistent during his time with the Patriots. So let me know what you guys think about this about this mock draft in the comment section below. Holy cow. And yeah, I'm gonna try and get this microphone situation fixed, but you know, if it sounds good, we might stick with it. So yeah, again, if you guys like anything related to the NFL draft, consider subscribing. This is definitely gonna be the channel for you, and until then, I'll see you guys all later.